Strap in, everybody. This one's going to be a doozy. Welcome back, friends and family, and if you are new to my channel and you found this video thanks to my excellent tagging skills, then welcome. My name is Jess. I'm an American living in France as an au pair, and today I'm going to talk about the visa process that allowed me to get here. It is complicated, it is long, and there was lots of paperwork involved, so without further ado, let's get right into it. If you are an American or a non-European looking to come to France, the very first thing I recommend that you do is check your consulate. There's going to be a website for the French consulate for your country, for your area if you're in the US, because there's several of them, and each consulate has slightly different requirements, so make sure that you're checking those. If you're not a European and you're not from the US, I don't know anything about your process. So, consulates. One important requirement to keep in mind is that to be an au pair, you should be under 30 years old. I think it's 18 to 30 is the age requirements. You should also not speak French as your primary language. If you're from a French-speaking country, then most likely you cannot come to France to be an au pair because it's meant to be a cultural language exchange. Finding a family is definitely the most important part, and it could potentially be the most time-consuming part. It wasn't for me. I fell in love with a family pretty immediately. I had a good idea of what I was looking for, what I wanted, where I wanted to be, and I was able to find a family that met my needs, and we clicked right away. And we did a lot of talking before I came here, but we knew pretty quickly that we were a good fit for each other. Now, there's a few ways that you can find a family. One option is to go through an agency where you have to pay to be involved. The perks of going through an agency is they're going to do a lot more to help you with all of your paperwork, and you'll have some additional support once you get to France, including sometimes like an orientation or something before you meet with your family. So if you have the money to do that and that's something that you're interested in, especially maybe if you're a little younger, then an agency could be a good way to go. If, however, you're pretty confident on being able to handle everything yourself, then going through a simple website for searching for a family is another alternative. There's a couple of free websites that I know, at least free for au pairs. Aupair.com and aupairworld.com are two that I use when I was looking for families. I personally prefer aupairworld.com. I like the streamline of the website much better. It's got a lot more information. It's very informative. It's very user-friendly, and there's a lot of really great families on it. And what's really nice about it is that families can choose to opt into a premium account, but you certainly don't have to in order to talk to them. Once you found your family, you're going to want to get down to the nitty-gritty details with them. You're going to want an idea of what kind of hours you're going to be working, what days off you'll have, what duties you're going to have to perform, if there's any wiggle room, ways to make extra money, etc. You're going to really want to make sure you understand exactly what they expect of you before you get here. And if you're not speaking French and they're not speaking English, Google Translate at least kind of get the gist of it for you, right? That's kind of what we relied on a lot before I came here. Now, once you've gotten all your details figured out, you're going to need to drop a contract. This is something that your family will probably do for you, and then all you have to do is approve and sign it. So they'll drop the contract with all of the details that we just talked about. It'll indicate where you're going to be living, how many kids you're taking care of, their ages, your hours, and how much you're going to be paid. It should all be listed on there, as well as a summary of what your duties are. Au Pair World offers a simple au pair contract that is just kind of fill in the blanks, and that's what we used, and it worked fine for all of the legal requirements for the visa. And it does allow you for the option of adding an additional space if you need to for additional information. Anything that you want to add into the contract. If your family is going to be paying for your return flight or anything like that, you're going to want to make sure that it's in the contract. Once the contract looks good and it's all signed, you're going to want to make sure that you have 4 copies, 4 originals, not photocopies. So you'll want 4 individually signed contracts, 4 versions that you find and that the family signs. Important to have as many copies as possible. Once you've signed the contract, you're going to send that back with a few other documents for the family. You're going to want proof of your education level, so you're going to want most recent transcripts. If you're getting ready to graduate high school, then you'll want something indicating your current level of education. If you've graduated some time ago, then just the most recent one that you have. So for me, I didn't finish college, so I just sent them my high school transcript. So I contacted them, I got a few copies of them so that I'd have some extras, and then I just sent that back with the family. You're also going to want to send them a copy of your passport identification page. You'll want a motivation letter written in France. I'll link the one that I used below. I had a friend that was living in France that helped me put it into good phrasing because I was worried that it wasn't going to be good enough because my French wasn't very strong. And then you're also going to want a health certificate. So this has to be dated within 3 months of you going. So the fun thing about all this is that everything takes time, but your medical certificate has to be done within 3 months. So what you're going to want to do is go get that done right at the beginning of that 3-month window for when you plan to go to France. Let's take a for instance. I came at the very end of August. So I wanted to make sure that I had my medical exam done the early June or end of May. So I had within 3 months of when I was planning to be there, but as early as possible within that 3-month window. Okay. Basically, the medical certificate just needs to state that you're in good health. It should be translated into French. So what I did is I just took the French version that's on aupairworld.com. I took that into my doctor and had them sign that. I want to make sure you give time. Your doctor may want to run some tests before they verify that you're okay. I was lucky because I was working at a hospital, so I'd already done pretty much all of the tests that needed to prove that I was in good health for traveling. So you've got everything gathered up. You've got your 4 copies of the signed contract, your medical certificate, most recent transcripts, photocopy of your passport, and a motivation letter written in French. And again, mine's linked below. So you'll send all of those to your family. Your family is going to send those to the OFII, or OFII, I think is how I've heard it pronounced. That's an organization here in France that's going to be approving the contract, and you're going to be dealing with them a couple more times. So make sure that they know they have to send that in and get it approved before you can apply for your visa. Now the OFII can take its time. It took probably about a month for me. But as soon as you have that validated contract in your hand, you can have your visa appointment. Now, the fun thing about making your visa appointment is that you kind of have to make it in advance because they only have so many spots available. So keep an eye on what appointment times are available for your consulate, and if it's starting to look like it's getting pushed out closer and closer to when you want to leave, you're going to want to go ahead and make the appointment and hope that your contract comes back in time. And if it doesn't, you'll have to push your appointment out later. But it's better to do that than to wait too long and then not be able to get an appointment until after you were going to go. That would be bad. When I was looking into this, I looked at both the LA consulate and the Atlanta consulate. My driver's license was still Las Vegas, so the LA consulate was the one that I needed to use, but if I had wanted to, because I was living in Birmingham, I could have switched to a Birmingham license and used the Atlanta consulate. You have to use the consulate that's associated with your photo ID, your official government photo ID. You've got a visa appointment tentatively set. You're waiting for that contract to be approved. Your family should also be going ahead and enrolling you in French language classes. They need to do this for you. They're going to send you an attestation stating that you've been enrolled in a French language course and the validated contract once they receive that back to you. Once you have these, you're ready for your visa appointment. The visa appointment. The appointment itself is pretty simple. As long as you have all of the paperwork that you need, it shouldn't be very long. For me, because I was extra prepared, I had extra copies of everything, a few things that I thought they might need, but maybe wasn't sure if they needed. I was able to get through my appointment very quickly. They just asked me for the documents, handed back anything they didn't need, and then I was good to go. So what do you need to bring with you to a visa appointment? Well, prepare yourself. You're going to want to bring that photo ID that shows that you live in the area where the consulate belongs. If you don't have a driver's license, your school ID should be okay as long as it's a school within the area. You're going to want to bring your passport as well as a copy of the identification pages. You'll want the visa application form. This one I don't think you need a copy of, but I made a copy of it anyway. And the application form that you're looking for is the long stay visa application form. They'll have it on the consulate under the au pair visa page. So make sure you're grabbing the right one and that you filled it out before you get there. You're going to want to bring whatever payment method your consulate accepts for your processing fee. Processing fee is listed on the website, and how much you pay in US dollars will vary depending on the conversion rate from euro to dollar, because the euro is the price that's set, so it'll vary a little bit depending on conversion rate at the time. For the Los Angeles consulate, that was a Visa or MasterCard only. Those are the only options that they accept. You're going to want to bring a passport photo. I recommend that you go ahead and get 2 passport photos. You're going to need one for your visa appointment and one once you're in France, so make sure you have 2. You're going to need an OFII, your OFII resident form. So this is another application that you're going to fill the first part out The consulate fills out the second part. So you just fill out the top part, and you're going to want to bring that with you. This is another one I do not believe you need a copy of, but again, I went ahead and had a copy anyway. You're going to want your original au pair contract. This is important. They want the original one that you signed, the family signed, and has the stamp of validation from the OFII. They will not accept a photocopy. It has to be the original one that they've mailed to you physically from France. They cannot send it to you in an email. It has to be mailed to you. Make sure you have your original contract. Make a copy, okay? You'll want that school attestation that I mentioned that they're going to want to send back to you. That has to come with you. This is fine for them to email. My family registered me at the Hobson Center, and they sent me the attestation via email, and I printed that off and took that with me. That was fine. The final thing that you're going to want is a self-addressed FedEx envelope. As far as I'm aware, all of the consulates require FedEx. Again, check your consulate to make sure that they don't, for some reason, take a different form of mailing, but from everything I've seen, they accept only FedEx Express envelope. My recommendation for the FedEx envelope is to go ahead and get a FedEx.com account, and then you can go into a FedEx store and actually print off the label that's got you as the receiving address and you as the sender address. That's important because you don't want it to accidentally get sent back to them. Do not put the consulate's address anywhere on your FedEx envelope. You want yours as the sender and as the receiver. Very important. If you do it through FedEx.com, that scan is going to be connected to your account and it's going to be connected to your card. If you don't do it through FedEx.com, you have to actually write your bank account information on the envelope for them to charge it when they send it. So again, I don't recommend that. I wouldn't want to have my bank information out there on an envelope, even if it's supposedly secure. I would much prefer to have it through the FedEx.com account. So that's what I recommend that you do as well. So assuming you've got everything and copies of everything, just make copies. Make extra copies, make sure you've got a copy of everything, make sure you've got everything that they've asked for lined up together as the originals and the copies, and just bring everything with you, because once you're at the visa appointment, you're not going to want to have to go back again. Especially for me. I flew from Alabama out to Los Angeles for my appointment. I had no interest in going back for another one. Plus, you'd have to wait for another appointment. And it does take some time for your visa to be approved. I believe that the minimum wait that they suggest is 3 weeks. So you want to make sure you have your visa appointment at least 3 weeks before you go. Maybe give it an extra week on top of that if you can. I believe that mine took 2. But again, you're just going to want to make sure that whatever it says on the consulate website is what you're abiding by. However long it tells you that you want to make sure you make that appointment before you're set to leave, abide by that. Now, it recommends on the visa website to not book your ticket until you receive your visa. Now, of course, that doesn't make sense for most of us. What they recommend doing is reserving a ticket, which you can do through some travel agencies, but it's only good for about 24 hours, where you reserve pending visa and don't pay for it. So it's not a route that I went through. It's not necessarily a route that I would recommend you go through. I think it's easier just to go ahead and buy your ticket. You don't have to buy your return ticket right now. You'll just want your ticket for getting there. Some of the consulates will require that proof of your ticket before you go. So for me, it had my date that I was planning to leave on the contract, but they also wanted to see my ticket showing that I was leaving and what date it was, so that they could make sure I got my visa back in time before my flight. So I went ahead and just brought in my flight reservation with me as well. So bring that. All right, so that's your visa appointment. They will also probably take your picture while you're there, so make sure that you look nice. They'll take one of those passport photos that I mentioned to affix to your application, and then that's all. You're going to leave your passport with them, as well as that FedEx self-addressed envelope and the OFII resident form. They are going to return the 3 of those to you. So you'll get the envelope back with your passport inside, the OFII resident form that you need, and your visa will be affixed to your passport. Congratulations! You're ready to go to France. But we're not finished with the paperwork yet. Oh no. Once you've arrived in France, you have 10 days for your family to send in some tax information. They're going to register you with the URSSAF. This is not something that I had to do anything with. My family knew what they needed to do on this end, so they sent all of that information in just as soon as we got to the house. We went camping the first couple days I was here. So once we got to the house, they sent all that in. This is basically indicating to the French government that they're paying your wages and your taxes for you. So it's important, because that enables you to go to the doctor and things. Once you get here, your family is also going to want to help you set up a bank account, and probably get you a French phone. That's what my family did. And again, this is something you probably want to talk to them about before you get here, whether they're going to be paying for your phone or not. I'm also paying for my American phone, which we're recording on this right now, but they pay for my French phone, which is nice. The other thing that you're going to need to do as soon as you get to France is to send in that validated OFII form that you got with your visa and your passport into the OFII office. So your family's going to do that. You're going to want to send in a copy of your passport as well. So while you're making all those copies, make sure you make an extra copy of your passport. So they'll need that and the form, and you'll send those in. Once the OFII have received those, you will get a letter in the mail requesting that you come down to the office for your in-person OFII visit. Yay! The appointment with the OFII needs to happen within your first 3 months of being in France. So it's really important you send all that stuff off right away. We sent it as soon as we got here. We didn't know that they needed a copy of my passport, so we got a letter back from them being like, we need a copy of the passport. So we sent that in. And then after that, we got another letter from them with my appointment date, which was within 2 days of the 3-month mark. So really make sure that you're sending everything in as soon as possible. Very important. French administration takes a long time. In the letter you're going to get from the OFII, it's going to indicate a tax amount for you. You're going to have to go down to a local tobacco, which is like a tobacco store, or to a French administration building, which your family should know better than I do. But you go down and basically you pay whatever the tax fee is, and they give you stamps indicating that you've paid them. They're like tax stamps. You don't affix them to anything, you're just going to want them. So we paid for those in the morning of my appointment day because I got paid that day, and we went into the office together to take care of that, and then I had to drive to Montpellier, an hour away, for my appointment. The OFII office will be in one of the bigger cities. It might not be super close to you, so make sure you know where it is. Your family should have an idea of where it is and be prepared to have to travel for that appointment. If for some reason you get the letter and the appointment's already passed, you just show up at the office with the letter and indicate that you need another appointment time, or see if you can get in that day. I'm not sure. They're usually pretty accommodating, but just make sure that you don't miss that letter, don't miss that appointment if you can help it. Easier just get out of the way. One of the things that I've seen online is that the OFII requires a medical exam wherein they do a tuberculosis x-ray where you take your shirt off and they x-ray your chest, and then they ask you some questions about your medical history. I did not have that happen for me, and I don't know if it's because I took care of the medical exam before I left and then they just didn't need it here, or if there was some other reason that I didn't have it. Everything online that I found indicated that there would be a medical exam, but I didn't have one. They validated my visa anyway. So go preparing to have one, and if you don't, then great. I'll go ahead and put a link to what I found about the medical exam below so you can check it out if you'd like to. Now for the OFII appointment, you're going to want those tax stamps that you paid for, very important. You're going to want to have your passport with you, and then you're going to need proof of residence. So students also have this process. If you're a student living in France, you also have to prove where you're living, and it could be a note from your landlord or something to that effect. Because I'm living with a family, I needed a letter from them. So I had a letter from Gael indicating that I'm living with her as her au pair. I had my au pair contract, though they didn't need it. I needed a utility bill with her name on it and a copy of that, and I needed a copy of her ID. I also took the original just in case, but the copy was fine. So again, you're going to want to prove where you live. That's a note from your landlord, your family, whoever is letting you live with them. You're going to want a utility bill, important, a utility bill with their name on it and a copy of their ID showing their name. Those are 3 important things. As long as you show up with those tax stamps and the proof of your residence and your passport, you should be fine. They're going to have a thing already printed out, a sticky bit that goes in your passport, and that along with your visa gives you permission to stay in France for the year. Congratulations. Now, like I said, this is a doozy. There's a lot of props to the process, but as far as I can tell so far, it's completely worth the trouble. I am in love with the south of France. It is beautiful here. I love the country. I'm really feeling like I'm starting to learn the language, which is what I wanted to do when I came here, and absolutely think that it was worth all of the trouble. It's a little expensive though. Just make sure you're prepared for all of the fees that you're going to have. I've also been advised that my process with the OFII is completely finished now. So I have the option of extending my visa later, which is what I'm hoping to do to stay as a student. So if I do end up getting to stay in France and I go through the visa renewal process, I will make a video later to let you know what all of that is about. I have some school things I have to get in order first. So guess what? It's complicated again. Well, that's all for the video today. This has been Vlogmas Day 1, by the way. I'm planning to try and make a video every day in December. They will not all be vlog style videos. I don't do that much on a day-to-day basis that's interesting enough for a vlog, but I will try to make at least a short video on something for the month. So you should have lots of content from me. Look forward to that. And if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. And if you like this video, click like and leave me a comment. Let me know if there is a country that you would like to visit, if you're interested in coming to France, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to try to answer them. All right, guys, I love you all. I hope you're having a lovely day. A bientôt. Au revoir.